David Banner wanted to...
Oh, what was that? Was that? Oh, that was. That's Kingpin.
We're back. How's everybody doing this week?
Here.
Oh wait, there's a third.
Yeah. Who's
I'm
that?
alive.
I didn't know.
I know.
Well, no one told us.
I mean, I decided to die for a while, and I was like, you called me back through the spirit realm.
It's
and I was like,
comic
here I am.
books. Nobody's dead forever.
True.
Didn't we talk about that in one of our previous episodes?
I mean, yeah, we did.
Well, welcome back. We missed you.
Oh, that's not true, but thank you.
We did a little.
Big time. Yeah.
So how's everybody's week going?
Crazy busy. Yeah, it's been. We're gearing up for our trip for Erie, Appalachia, our research trip. And Elizabeth just got back from honeymoon and all the fun getting her house reconfigured, which is still going on, correct?
Oh, it's bad, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so we're gearing up for that. So I've been scheduling interviews and trying to get places to film, not for Erie Travels the show, but these are places that we might travel in the future for Erie Travels the show. But I got to get there just to research them for Erie Appalachia.
Yep.
So that has been, and then there's this thing called work and then doing these shows and other things like that. So it's not like I'm not burning the candle at both ends. I'm good. It's fine. If I fall over, just, somebody resuscitate me.
How's your week been?
It's been
How's
good.
your past month, actually?
I know.
It's been a while.
It's been pretty good. We were doing the things with the house. It's still not done. Won't tell you that sob story. It's just insurance stuff. But had vacation, my first vacation in a while, and then getting ready for our trip too. We're doing that, and got a few irons in the fire as well. Been starting I got some offers to start some new businesses. So I've been working and marketing and doing that kind of stuff. So, and doing research for my book. So.
Well,
That's awesome. So.
What about you, Michael?
It's been a busy week and going to keep being busy.
What
This
about-
weekend we got the DC
fandom.
DC fandom, yes. I shaved my head. I got bored. Something different.
All good.
People shave their heads when they're having a midlife crisis.
Do they?
I don't
Or
know.
crises.
I skipped that. I just went gray. So, I saw some picture from 4 years ago on Facebook. You love those timeline photos.
Yeah.
You're like, thanks, Facebook,
And
for
it was
reminding
4
me.
years ago when I started acting again, and it was for an Exorcist movie, and I played the priest, and all I had was the gray on the
Yes.
temples, and I was like, I looked very much like Reed Richards or Doctor Strange, and I was like, and I was still another 100 pounds heavier, so it was like, so that looked a little bad, but I was like, but I had the dark hair, it was awesome, and then I was like, that was only 4 years ago. I thought that was like 10 years ago. Oh man.
I feel like 2020 makes time appear like it's happened so fast, but then so slow. We're like in this netherworld. We don't know if we can escape. We're just throwing things at it to see what happens.
So there was something funny. The Legends of Tomorrow is doing a panel, and they're saying 2020 is their fault this year.
Yeah, they were actually admitting it. They're saying, they're messing with the timelines is what caused this.
They caused
And
it.
there was some other time travel thing was joking about that too. Was I think it was the Bill and Ted panel mentioned that 2020 was the one year they don't talk about.
It just definitely seems that time travelers keep coming to this time period to fix it, but they're messing it up. You know what I mean?
Quick.
Like,
Well, they're trying to fix it, but making it worse.
exactly. That's my point.
We
That's
stopped
a
the
Barry
murder
Allen
hornets, but then we wound up with riots. Yeah.
And now all the storms are coming. We'll see.
Well, one good thing's happened so far. We've been voted Best of the Bay for Best Podcast.
We haven't been voted that yet. You can vote
we
for
are
that.
nominated.
We're
Let me
nominated.
rephrase it. We're
Thank you.
nominated.
Nominated.
So is Nerd Talk.
Yes.
So is Mark Muncie.
Yes.
Yeah,
Spoke Creepy Florida. And Mark and Carrie as Best couple.
Which
guys,
is crazy
guys.
awesome. And then Erie, Florida is up for best
Yes.
Instagram.
Yeah.
So
But
and
then-
Michael, best photographer. So we got all
And
slew-
John, I was about to
John
say-
Gaston behind the screens, our wonderful best filmmaker.
Exactly.
So yeah, and a lot of our previous cosplayers of the week, Take a Chance
Yeah.
cosplay is
Take
up
a Chance,
for
yep.
best cosplayer and. Definitely, just get out there. Creative Loafing, Best of the Bay. If you Google that, you don't have to be in Tampa. Google it up, and then
can
just
vote
look
once a day.
and vote. You can vote once a day through September 3rd, and just click a couple times. We'd appreciate it, and
Helps out with the
honestly-
local businesses,
and-
helps
Yeah.
out
and let's
the
have
artists.
some of these fun nerdy things when
Yeah.
instead of dog kennels and
Dog kennels.
and that's what beat me for a book 2 years ago, and I'm never forgiving them for that. So a
Oh,
book
yeah.
about
He's
a
against
rescue
dog
dogs beats Erie, Florida for best book.
But we do love rescue dogs.
We do love rescue
Never
dogs.
shop.
But-
Always
but come
rescue.
on, the book was okay. So my book was better. So
Moving on.
moving on.
So if you ever want to be a guest on a show, or if you want to be our cosplayer spotlight, you can email us at home, comicbook101tv.com, info, comicbook101tv.com. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, comicbook101tv.com.
And we would love to get some extra co-hosts, especially
Yes.
since we'll be doing some trips. So please take that
If
as a
you've got a
legitimate
character
offer.
you love and want to discuss, give us a shout out, and we can talk to you, and we'll make
Exactly.
it happen.
Actually, I posted it on the page today, and some people replied they want us to talk about the shadow.
I would
Yeah.
love that, and I'd love a couple old school fans and maybe
Yes.
some new ones that haven't.
I heard about the
of show.
Barbie request.
And
I
there
love
was
that
a Barbie
one.
request.
I'll be
and
there.
And
I don't know
Hopefully,
anything
we'll
about
have a guest host
Barbie,
for that
yeah.
one because I don't know anything about.
I don't know anything about
I got
Barbie.
it. I got you, girl. We'll do it.
That's her whole
All
show.
right,
She'll be
yeah,
here just for that.
All about it.
I know we had one request that somebody said, "Hey, Mark, I know you're a huge fan of this guy," and I said, "Yes, we'll do it around Halloween," and that is the Goon.
Yes.
Promise you, we will be doing the Goon.
We have
Spawn
to.
will come around Halloween as well.
Eric Powell, I know you watched one, so I'm excited. So we'd love to interview you for your book. So,
That'd be awesome. And we got to do the interview with the other comic people.
oh yeah, Jolly,
Yeah.
issue 275 hit the stands. 30 years they've been doing Knights
Wow.
of the Dinner Table,
That's awesome.
and that's not including Shaddus, the magazine it started in that they published. Their appearances in Dragon magazine for years before they started their own comic. I mean, this is, I think technically they outdo Spawn and maybe even Cerberus. And that's the cover of 275 of Knights of the Dinner Table, is them going into a place and you see this aardvark just out of reach because
Yeah.
it's like they're just trying to get him. So it's pretty cool. I was very happy with that, and we're going to try to get you on, Jolly, get you and Barb on. We'd love to talk
That'd
to
be
both
great.
of you.
So we want to mention some show supporters. Yancey Street Comics, a local comic shop that at least I go to weekly.
I've been there. It's a great store.
yes, it's
Steve's a great
awesome.
guy.
And
It's a
you
good
know who
place
they
to go
got
to.
coming this Saturday to the shop?
Oh.
They have what was his name?
Michael Golden.
Yes,
right?
Michael.
Oh, wow.
He co-created Rogue
Yep.
from the X-Men and Bucky O'Hare.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
so-
See, Steve knows all the best guys.
Yeah. And coming the
Probably
following
one of the best
week
Wolvie drawers
is Sam
ever.
De La Rosa.
Oh,
is coming.
wow.
So that's
awesome.
That's Venom, right?
Yes.
Lethal Protector.
Yeah, he did work on Venom.
Yeah,
So that's
that's
really
pretty
cool
epic.
that
You
they're
get
going
finally
common.
that now the conventions are gone, but small appearances can still work, and that's
Yes.
what's happening. And if you can't make it to these, you order ahead, and they will send you stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened with a lot of the authors. We're talking with a couple authors for. The bookstore that I'm friends with, Books at Park Place, and they've done a couple signings where nobody's come, but the authors, if you call ahead, they can personalize it. The author signs it, they take a picture with it, so you get a nice little picture,
Yeah.
so you can authenticate it,
Yeah.
and all that. So I think that may be a bit of the new norm for at least till early next
Yeah.
year.
I know.
So-
Jason David Frank, the original Green Ranger and White Ranger, has been going to comic shops for free. If they want him, he's not charging any comic shops. He's just going there, doing his sessions, meet and greets, autographs, and he gives a portion of that money he charges for that and gives it back to the comic shop.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so as
So it
Jolly and
helps
Barb
them.
were supposed to be the guests of honor at Tampa Bay Comic Con. This was going to be their first trip to Florida,
Yeah.
and because they're up in Michigan or Indiana, somewhere up there, and it's like they were looking forward to that, and so now this is what they're doing. So, but hopefully we'll get them on here too. So
So next thing, let's go ahead and go. Oh, and forgot the most important.
Oh yeah, ErieFlorida.com. Please visit. And
Where you can
order
also
books.
get personalized books. We
Yeah,
do it all the
exactly.
time,
We
so
will
get
that's a good thing.
get them autographed.
Artwork.
Yeah, Carrie will happily sign them and draw a little something in them. And then we've got we've got some other stuff coming up there. So watch the shop page because Elizabeth and Carrie have been doing some jewelry on there, and that's that's up. And then there's been some soon to be more developments after our trip. Maybe we'll see.
And let's go ahead and start with our cosplayer of the week right now.
I'm excited.
Astronaut.
Wow.
You can find her on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch TV. All
Oh,
under
I
the
love
same
that
name.
one.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So, what got her into cosplay? She used to create a lot of raidwear and sell accessories and pearl art to her local conventions in Northern California. And a friend of hers approached her one day and asked her about doing cosplay. And she's never made costumes for anybody. That's how she got into it, because she loves anime and gaming. So she rounded up a couple friends, and they planned their first costume out for a local convention. She's always loved cosplay because it's a great way to be creative. Cosplay's always been an outlet where I can be whoever I want to be and sometimes make the canon characters something unique, like living fan art, which a lot of cosplayers do nowadays.
Yeah.
Her favorite cosplay, she said, it's a hard one. She's grown to love her Broly cosplay, which is a great cosplay.
Yeah.
I love Broly.
I love that one.
But I don't think she'll ever be able to replace her Elsa. She designed both of those, and she loves how she's able to turn her art into real-life drawings. Her next cosplay, I asked her what she wanted to do. She said she has quite a few. She's currently working on Teresa from Claymore and original Fierce Dee Dee Paladin.
Claymore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be really
Crazy Claymore. I remember that.
And she
show.
also
That
wants
was
to
awesome.
do Zero Suit, same as
Of
Android
course.
17.
Yes, yes,
Ash
yes.
Ketchum from Pokemon
Aw.
in a streetwear version of Future Trunks. from
Very nice.
I like that a
Dragon Ball Z.
lot.
Wide variety
Yeah.
there.
I love her All Might.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was
That
saying
All Might-
that speaks to your heart.
I
know,
didn't even
so.
see that one first when I found her Facebook page, because another photographer friend that does a lot of cosplay shooting, he posted
Suggested.
a bunch of things, and I saw. I'm like, oh, let me message her about it, and
Well,
That's
and again,
awesome.
if you
Yeah.
want to be cosplayer of the week, send it to us. And if
Yeah.
you are, or if you know someone who should be cosplayer of the week, go ahead and forward them to us, and we'll reach out.
And by the way, I forgot to say, beginning of the show, Happy Thorsday.
That's
That-
right.
you came
It
up
is-
with that
It
little
is Thorsday
thing last week.
Yeah. Well, it was one of those. I was like, man, we should really talk about who should we discuss? We were discussing things, and then the thunder hit outside because the storm was coming through, because it's storm season here in Florida. And they hit every afternoon, every early evening, every day,
All
every
day, all night
hour,
long.
sometimes all day, like today. And you're just like, wow, I was like, oh, it's Thorsday, and then I was like, oh wait, we haven't done that yet. So
Well, on the way here, like every 5 minutes, there was a lightning strike.
yep, it was like it was
So-
calling to us. It's like, yes, it's time.
But why is Thursday called Thorsday? And who is Thor? And how did he come to be, Mark Muncy?
Stan Lee created him. No,
He did
no,
not.
he did not.
This is
No.
someone Stanley did not create.
No. And then
It's actually an
honestly,
interesting story how this one came up.
yeah,
Michael,
go for it.
you tell
Tell
us,
us.
Well,
Michael.
DC
Preach.
actually started with a Thor comic. Believe Jack Kirby did it for
Yep.
DC when he started there. And when he came to Marvel, he's like, hey, why don't we do Thor here, a different
he's
version of him?
public domain because he
Yes.
was created as a Nordic myth back in the day. But is he based in myth? Is he based in reality? That's where Neil Gaiman's done some research
Yeah.
into that, and a lot of others have done research into that.
Which, speaking of Neil Gaiman, there's something about him that ties into Thor later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But he's actually got a book called Norse Mythology out where he tells the tales. But no, that was there when we were doing my family tree to Norse, the Norse guys. When we found that tree, we found a guy who claimed that he was the son of a chieftain who was the son of a chieftain who was the son of a chieftain who that chieftain went back to Odin. That was like he was like, I'm a descendant of Odin. So my family is descendants of Odin. So I am an Odinson. Way down the line. Maybe that's why I spark static electricity whenever I touch somebody. So I don't know.
You're just electric.
Sparkles. So
Thor also placed 14th on IGN's top 100 list of comic book heroes of all time in 2011. in their first list of the top 50 Avengers in 2012.
Well, yeah, top 50. I mean, admittedly, everybody's been an Avenger at one point or
Yeah.
another, so it's hard
They
to.
like to throw that word around.
Yeah, they do
To bring
recruit for
relevance to
for
a
one
character,
mission.
for
They'll
sure.
recruit them for especially, and then if you count Secret Avengers and
But the
other Avengers,
not just anyone can be Thor, though. In order to be Thor,
You have to be worthy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have to
And
be
that was-
able to
so
hold
in the original
hammer.
comic, so Marvel comes up with Tales to Astonish, which was their kind of anthology series at the time, 1960s, and they decide to do a Thor series with Kirby doing the art, and it's pretty amazing, and it involves Dr. Donald Blake. Mild-mannered Dr. Donald Blake, because everybody had to have a secret identity. And he's this guy, he's on a journey, sound like Doctor Strange here? He's on a journey to find spiritual healing, and he finds this old staff, and he picks it up, and it becomes the hammer of Thor. And he was so worthy, he becomes the power of Thor. So that's where that comes from, where he can turn into Thor, which was very much a Captain Marvel
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing that DC had been doing for a little while, or Shazam.
And they actually did that in the Incredible Hulk movie in the 80s, too. They did
And that one,
version
he
of
actually
him.
summons him. It's
Yeah.
not like he becomes him.
But at the time, you don't know what qualifies someone to be worthy.
And then in the movies, they did a nod to it when
Mm-hmm.
he's sneaking into the S.H.I.E.L.D. base. He wears a name badge that
Yes.
her
Yes.
ex-boyfriend,
Yeah.
who's
Yes.
Dr. Donald Blake. So, so it was a lot of little tie-ins to that classic, and it's actually just one of those fun, crazy, awesome series. We know him from the movies, we know him from the comics, we know him from cartoons. Some of us,
Yeah.
He's been on a lot of, even back in the '60s, he did a couple of the early animateds. So,
But
we're going to
starting
talk
at the
all
beginning.
about him.
Starting at the beginning, though, what? Journey into Mystery?
Yes, in 1962 was the first appearance of Thor. Again, that was
83.
yeah, that was with Jack Kirby and Larry Lieber, I believe is how you
Yes,
Lieber.
you're right.
Lieber.
Larry Lieber.
Oh, never mind. Well, I'm at the Jack Kirby. era.
Jewish. Jewish pronunciation.
I'm bad with last names.
Yeah, but like Stan Lebowski is actually Stan Lee, because they were all trying to save their names for that. There's Thor Journey into Mystery. That's the one. If you find that one in a comic shop, it's probably a reprint. But no, if you can find that one and hang on to it, you'd be pretty wealthy. And there's Thor, legendary god of thunder. Look at that. So,
I love the hat he's wearing back
Yeah, the
with
classic.
little wings on it.
The classic Kirby. So, I mean, goes on. He's one of the original Avengers. He finds Captain America.
They do things kind of in a good succession with him because, like, in issue 85, that's when Loki's introduced. So it's only like 2 issues away. And then in the next couple issues, they're introducing one of his like key enemies and other adversaries and new heroes and things like that. So they did a pretty good in the beginning line of kind of setting him up and like setting up his universe and who he's familiar with and things like that, like Radioactive Man. The Enchantress, the Executioner, the Absorbing Man, the Destroyer, all these amazing names as well. So
and some of them still major villains today.
Exactly.
And that's just it. It's
even Hercules.
Started in Thor.
Exactly.
So, and never did a Thor #1 in the initial run because it was Tales to Astonish, and they just changed it to Thor. I think it was issue. Was it 125? I think.
So.
Yeah, I think it was the last Tales to Astonish. And so Thor #1 is actually Thor 126.
Yeah.
I think. So and they didn't. Of course they did Thor #1 when they started doing reboots later on. So
Speaking of reboots, let's go ahead and do Thor 1 through 12. And I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his last
J.
name.
Michael Straczynski.
Straczynski.
The original creator of Babylon 5. He got handed Thor when, let's face it, the Avengers were nothing. Thor was dying. The Iron Man was nothing. Captain America was nothing. And Marvel needed to redo everything. And they took the original Avengers and gave them to these creative geniuses.
They needed
So
solid
what year
writers.
was this around the 90s?
This
then?
is in the early 2000s.
Early 2000s.
So, and they took over, Brubaker takes over Captain America, and it's leading to this event that they're going to do called Civil War. They come with this big plan, and they all want to reinvent the characters. And so they give Straczynski full run on Thor, and he brings it back. He even brings back Donald Blake, who had just kind of disappeared from the storyline. And he does all this amazing stuff with Asgard.
Reprising it, like making it his own.
And bringing it, and he just does all these takes on the classic tales. It's because he brings it back to its roots, which is amazing, which leads up to Civil War. Where right before Civil War, Thor disappears. He actually is.
Yeah.
Is he killed? Is he? Who knows? But then in the middle of Civil War, Thor shows back up and kills Goliath. Who was just in the recent Ant-Man, versus Wasp movie, kills him, and that's what. But they realize it's a clone. It's not the real Thor. And it was Tony and Reed Richards, because they're terrible people. You're not people you should be worshiping. They cloned Thor, and he killed people.
What's more important than your family?
Science.
Reed Richards, no one understands.
Yeah,
that.
no, that's true.
Yes,
Science. Yeah, because Reed doesn't understand.
But that also is important though, because it's like they know that Thor is such a powerhouse that honestly he's one of the only, he's one of the OGs, so he's one of the only ones that can really even make a dent into these. Villains that they're
Omega level threats, they call them.
Exactly.
So, is Thor powerful without his hammer? That's the question.
That has always been the question, and that is always he's definitely more power with the hammer.
The hammer, he can beat almost anybody.
And we will talk about it more Ragnarok.
Yeah, when that comes around.
When that comes around, but that really proves whether he's powerful without the hammer or not. Because.
Yeah. But let's take a step back to that original Thor run, because Walter Simonson is probably the one who defined Thor. Him, John Byrne did a lot of the art for his series, a couple others. He was, when you think of classic Thor, it's Simonson's art, that Simonson's writing that you're going to think of, and it's insanely talented how he did. And then he got kind of bored with it. He was only allowed to do so much, and so he's like, well. What I can only do this, I can only do that. I want to tell this big epic story, and they wouldn't let him do it. So he's like, I'm just going to do this and see what happens. And he decided at this point to go crazy. He gave Scourge machine guns, which was in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
He started going crazy, and then he's like, 2 issues later, I'm turning Thor into a frog. And was probably one of the greatest Thor stories of all time.
And what is that? It's 364 to 365.
The introduction of Throg.
All
right.
You have that comic, didn't you?
I have them right here. I have all three right here. But there's the cover in all its glory. Loki decides to be sneaky and turn Thor into a frog. And then the next issue, Thor shows back up at an event with Odin, and where Loki's kind of laughing because Thor can't show up, but suddenly Thor's there. It's like, what's going on?
Because Loki is the god of mischief. We'll just touch on that.
So he's
sure
upset.
Knows,
and of course, it's Haroken from the Warriors 3, one of Thor's buddies, is actually pretending to be Thor, while Thor's stuck in New York in Central Park, and he's teaming up with other frogs who are at war with a bunch of rats that are being controlled by a villain who later will become Swarm, who's actually a pretty popular villain now he's one of the Sinister Six now.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
But back then he was just a guy who controlled rats.
Exactly.
And
Piper, pretty much.
Now he's made of bees. Yeah, kind of. But so Thor has this. All right. So here we go down the rabbit hole. You ready for this, gang? Let Mark tell you a little story. Okay, a comic book story. So Thor is in Central Park, stuck as a frog. He bumps into this other frog who understands him. This frog is named Puddle Gulp, but that is the name that he has been given by the other frogs. He is actually a human who was a football player who ticked off a witch and got cursed to be a frog. And now he is like the smartest of the frogs, so he is the king of the frogs.
So they all
worship him because he's super smart and he's helping them out. And now the rats are suddenly a power and they've got to be fought. So Thor's going to help out because Thor, I handle battles. I'm a frog, but I should be okay.
It's like having this mini adventure.
And so he has this crazy adventure. And again, it's Walter Simonson just having fun. And Puddle Gulp is this superhero. He's really nice, super kind, and he's gentle. He's really trying to help. And finally, Thor finds Mjolnir. and he goes over to it, and he puts his little tadpole hand on it, and what happens? He becomes Thor with the power of Thor again. He's a frog.
As a frog.
As a frog.
He
So
does
he's
not
Frog
change
Thor.
into a human. This is
He
very
is Frog
important.
Thor, and
This is very important.
and he is basically able to rally the frogs and beat the snot out of the rats and stop Swarm. And as he's leaving, and Puddle Gulp almost sacrifices himself to save everybody and all this. And as he's
Football players
leaving,
do.
Mjolnir is left there, for a minute, and one of Odin's goats comes up and steps on Mjolnir so hard it flakes a little flake off, a little chip, and Puddle Gulp grabs it and becomes Throg.
He's worthy.
He becomes worthy, and he becomes Throg,
amazing.
a.k.a. Puddle Gulp, who is still part of the Pet Avengers, who have since gone on to get the Infinity
So
Gauntlet.
nobody's ever healed him back to become a human.
He doesn't want to be. He loves it. He likes being a frog. He doesn't want to go back.
Wait, if he was a human, he'd just be another football player. But
Yep.
here,
Yeah.
he's a superhero football player frog. I mean,
Yep.
come on, man.
Come on.
What life would you pick?
He may have not been worthy enough if he stayed human.
We could do a whole episode on his adventures with the Pet Avengers. At some point, we should do the pets.
But what?
We should do the pets.
What time period was this in? Like, was it in the middle of Civil War? Was it in the middle
this
of
was
what
the
had happened?
80s. This was
okay.
early 80s. This is long before Civil War, long before even Secret Wars was a
So
thing.
this is not
this
why
is-
he was missing.
No, no,
So this
no,
is
this is-
just like,
Yeah, he
here's
was-
your Easter egg episodes. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. It was just a fun, and Simonson was just having fun. And the fact that it hit and it became a hit was just, I think Marvel was as surprised as anybody.
Well, then it
And-
had a character
Yeah.
that continued to be again Pet Avengers, things like that. I
yeah.
mean,
well, now they embrace him, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, he's been back multiple times. So
I like it. But then when he becomes a human again,
yeah.
what
And then,
we go to the next arc.
well, then we also go into space at one point, and we encounter another animal that is it's an alien race that looks like a horse, and there's a guy there named Beta Ray Bill, and he
Beta Ray is
also
awesome.
becomes worthy and takes the hammer from Thor for a little bit and becomes a Thor
Yeah.
himself for a little bit, and then because he's so worthy, instead of giving him a piece of Mjolnir, because they're worried that they keep giving pieces, it might be bad, they give him his own axe. He gets an
Yeah.
axe, and that's Stormbreaker.
so
Which
this
we
is a
saw.
rabbit
Which we
trail.
saw in
The last
Avengers
movie.
So
Endgame.
this is a rabbit trail. I understand this, but why are like all these animals? Well, because animals are perfect.
Yeah.
I ain't smart, but I'm like, why are these all
Well,
these
noble-
animals?
noble
Why
animals.
are they all like worthy? But then like Captain America's like, oh, I was kid, I was trying to get the like.
Well, now we found out that he could have all the time.
Yeah,
He
I know,
pretended.
but like at the. semantics.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying, it's like really funny. You have all these like other big names. It's like no, only the animals.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just the animals, because there's some others
so
who've
far.
worn it,
So
who've
far.
carried it at
Black
other
Widows
times.
carried it.
Black Widow's used it, and
Yeah, because she's a.
and then a couple bad
amazing.
guys. Doctor Doom used it at one
Yeah.
point because he feels he's worthy. So
Is it all about the mental state?
it is all about the mental state.
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
The mental state.
Yep.
If you think you're worthy enough, you can do it.
Can we pinpoint where that is in the? Ooh,
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're
Like,
not used to
throw the
those.
mic on the-
You're not used to those.
not used to those, so we
Yeah.
got to be very careful with it.
All right. Coming
No,
back.
I just.
Yeah.
I didn't say
Can we? I know you didn't.
Yeah,
It's just your stupid look on your face with your bald head. Anyway, I love you very much.
Wow.
I love you very much, but I'm so thrown off.
For
by
those of
you.
you just joining us. All right. Good.
You didn't used to be this bald. No, but I do think it's interesting, especially with the reboots that happen with these characters. It goes from like, oh yeah, it's a secret that you're worthy, and then it's like, oh, you just gotta have a really good mental state. So this is definitely a
It's-
character which will continue on later.
I also think it's Odin has to kind of allow it, because there's some people who have been worthy in the past who suddenly can't pick it up anymore.
Well,
and
we
some
do
other things like that.
we do touch on that a little bit later, but it is interesting how we talked about it before. Comics tend to go around the whole idea of mental state, making it very relatable. All right,
There's
rabbit
been a
trail
point
over.
where Thor's been unworthy and he couldn't even hold it.
That's
We're
there's a
going
whole
to talk
series.
about
Yeah.
that later. I just said that.
All right.
But we also see Beta Ray. Well, we see a statue of him
In
the
Ragnarok.
form. Yeah.
In Ragnarok. So yeah, that was a nice little tribute Taika did, because he was stealing so much of Jack Kirby's stuff for Ragnarok. Tribute, homage. It was stealing. But
was stealing.
yeah, it's all good. So
But next is Thor Siege. That's the next big
That was one of the major after Civil War.
Yeah.
Thor has gone. Straczynski they've destroyed Ragnarok. Has destroyed Asgard. Kind of a little bit of what we saw in Thor Ragnarok. And so Thor brings back. Thor is now Odin. He is now the Allfather because Odin has passed on.
Yeah, because we're kind of skipping over Civil War, things like that. We're just focusing on
We've
like
talked
his.
Yeah, we've talked about some of these before. So these
just
are some,
so anyone tuning
yeah.
in, we're just focusing on like we're trying to go to his timeline.
some big hits. Yeah. So this he brings Asgard to Oklahoma and creates it and makes it in Oklahoma and brings back the gods because he's the Allfather now. He's bringing everybody back. He brings back the Warriors 3. He brings back all these guys have been wiped out, and he brings it back. And then what happens is after Civil War, Secret Invasion happens. And after Secret Invasion happens, Norman Osborn becomes president of the United States. An evil person becomes president of the United States.
And what's the
Iron
first thing
Patriot
he
armor.
does?
And he has the Iron Patriot.
And what the first thing he does
forms
is
his own Avengers.
Yep, exactly.
The Dark
And
Avengers.
The Dark
Dark
Avengers, but he
Avengers.
doesn't call them that. He calls them the Avengers because he wants everybody to think. And instead of Thor, he has Ares pretending to be Thor.
Well, he has Cable. He calls the meeting as I'm our guy reading.
All right, yep.
He has Cable,
Yep.
Doctor Doom, the Hood, Taskmaster,
Yep.
the Asgardian god Loki.
Yep.
Or I just could have said Loki. So
That's the Cabal. That's the ones who are organizing.
They're
the whole
organizing,
secret
yeah.
organization.
because they're trying to since he's bringing back all these gods,
They're worried.
they're worried, and then they're like rebuilding because it was after Ragnarok, so they're rebuilding like the heavens for the Norse gods as well. And once you have a basically your place where all the gods can live,
Yeah.
well, you're a powerhouse. No one's displaced anymore.
And then so the police come and the state comes and the army comes and they're like, you are invading our soil. You're aliens. You're illegal aliens. So he's like, well, fine, and he lifts Asgard into the air because he's the Allfather now. So he lifts it a couple hundred feet in the air. He's like, there, we're not on your soil anymore. And then he goes, but now you're an air traffic hazard. So he's like, fine. So he lowers it to about 20 feet off the ground, just hovering. Yeah, I think it's like 100 feet
Just
off the
like a
ground.
little
But it's a loophole. It's a legal loophole that She-Hulk helps him figure out, which is awesome.
I do love that. I do love in the Marvel Universe, as convoluted as it can be sometimes, and as silly characters, it's like, oh, I have a science question. Read, even though I don't like you, you want to like tell me a thing, or like, hey, I have a legal question. You, giant green woman. Oh yeah, tell me what that thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like you have all the right.
Oh yeah, and so the
And I
Dark
love
Avengers
She-Hulk. She's so
and
brilliant.
they can't touch them now because
Yeah.
legally they are their own country floating above our country and not in our airspace. So it's a gray area, and so they're trying to figure out. And what Siege is what happens is Tony Stark has all the information of all the identities from everybody from Civil War.
He's basically Batman.
He was the computer.
Yeah.
That's why he's like, it can never be hacked because it's me. But he's almost dead now. So he gets put into Asgard for protection. And that's when Norman Osborn and the Dark Avengers. Now, the Dark Avengers were, Dakon was Wolverine, which is Wolverine's son.
Yeah.
Bullseye was pretending to be Hawkeye. Moondragon was pretending to be Black Widow. And then these were, some other villains. I'm trying to remember. And then, Norman Osborn was Iron Patriot. And then Ares was Thor. And they decide to attack Asgard to get it back. Now, what's been cool with the series at this point is the Asgardians are dealing with the humans in the nearby small little towns of Oklahoma. And there's this great little love story between this one Asgardian goddess who falls in love with a mortal.
Yeah.
Who's just a guy from the town, a country bumpkin. He's like, she's never going to like me. I'm just a country boy. And
I do like the
it
little
is the
things
most
that they
beautiful
do.
love story I've ever read in anything.
It's like when one of the evil stepsisters in Cinderella falls in love with a baker, and like Cinderella 2, and you're like, humanity.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Cinderella too.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's Cinderella 3, 2. We don't
talk about that. We don't talk about that. But anyway, it's this amazing story. So yes, definitely pick up Thor's Siege. You can find it as a trade paperback. There were some tie-ins because some other things were going on as Siege. But even if you just pick up the Thor issues that tied into Siege directly, those are amazing because it was all those side stories Straczynski was writing with that.
Yeah.
And then
After that is Secret Wars.
Secret Wars, Thors. So years later, Marvel has decided to kill off their multiverse.
Yes.
And they're wiping out all their universes and making one universe is all that's going to be left. And
Well, they had
it didn't
that,
go
and
the
then
way
they
it was
messed
supposed
it up,
to.
and then they brought it back.
Well, it didn't go the way everybody thought it would, because what happened was, at the end, instead of Doctor Strange saving everything, he panics and can't do it. So Doctor Doom steps in and does it.
I
Do we
hate to
really trust Doctor Doom doing
But
something
here's the
good?
thing.
Strange knew it would be better than what he could do.
Yes, we're not gonna. Maybe we'll talk about that later some other time. But like honestly, he does a pretty good job.
He
He
makes-
just still hates Reed Richards.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
So he
and
makes
Who
his
doesn't hate
world.
Reed
He makes
Richards?
Valeria his daughter instead of Reed's daughter. He makes
because he makes Sue marry
his
him.
wife,
he like hypnotizes her. Yeah,
Franklin.
So that's a little rapey. But,
yeah,
you know.
and the Thing is the wall of the world
Yeah.
that protects him from, because he brings in bits from all the other universes.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to do it is to keep him alive. But then, as he becomes this god king tyrant, he makes every other land refuse to admit the other lands exist
Yeah.
unless they're technologically advanced.
But anyone like in his land is actually taken really good care of. But he should make sure all the heroes are suffering. He doesn't forget.
Yeah. No, he doesn't. And Reed Richards is nowhere in any of
Yes.
any of the worlds. And then there's one that's New York, where all the realities have merged in
Mm-hmm.
New York, and he pretends that one doesn't exist.
Kind of like
But to
Spider-Verse.
police this world, he needs the ultimate force of cops. He needs the ultimate protectors. Who are you going to call in the Marvel
Army of
universe?
Thor.
He makes all those alternate Thors
Yep.
the cops. So they're called the Thor Corps, and they police the world. So you've got
Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill. You got Angela from the Spawn universe
Yes.
is now in Marvel. You've got Thunderstrike, who was a guy who was Thor in the 90s with a ponytail, who was a human who could only be Thor when he held the hammer. That was in the original Secret Wars. The original Secret Wars, he was the Thor in parts of that, or Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
He was the Thor in Infinity Gauntlet, and Thanos kills him because he takes away the hammer and leaves him in space. And then, so there's all these other Thors, and they did a spin-off comic series with it, just called Thors, because there's someone traveling around all the lands, killing people named Donald Blake, and killing people named Jane Foster, and no one knows why. And these Thors are like, why do those names sound familiar? And then the unworthy one occasionally shows up. They're convinced he's the bad guy, but no, he's
he's not.
trying to help him too. My favorite about this, Puddle Gulp,
Protocol.
Is there?
is the forensics frog.
Yes.
He's like, I'm a forensic frog, not a doctor. Yeah,
Forensic frog.
not a miracle worker. I was like, oh, he's even doing Dr. McCoy jokes. This is freaking amazing. It's a great series, and the lead suspect is some guy named Loki that they don't know.
Yeah, because it's a lot like again they recognize the names and things, but they're like I can't
Yeah,
place
But since
it.
it's been rebuilt, they
Because
lost.
Doom's rebuilt it, they lost it.
Kind of took the memories away, but still.
And then, so this is how they're finding out that they've lost something. And so this explains why, in spoiler alert, for the final Battle of Secret Wars, the Thors might change sides, some of them. But there's also one that's the Destroyer droid.
Yeah.
There's a Rom one before they lost the rights to Rom. He's one of them. So that was
So
pretty
what
epic.
year was that one published in? Do we know?
That's Secret Wars 2, or not Secret Wars 2, but the modern Secret Wars. I would say it's 2015. I think
Okay.
it's pretty recent.
So because our next topic, it's a little bit out there too, but it's in the beginning of what? Did you
I was going to say,
pinpoint?
before we talk about it, can we play the video of it? If that's.
I was going to talk about Original Sin first to introduce it, but yeah, we can play the video
Okay,
for it.
we'll talk about
No, all
Original
right. No, it's just you kind of got to go back a year. That's why I asked because
Yeah.
during 2014 Original Sin storyline,
Yes.
it's when Thor before.
Everybody got a hammer.
Yeah.
Everyone got a hammer. Everyone literally got a hammer. And it was before this alternate timeline, so that's why I'm just bringing us back a little bit.
Yeah.
Nick Fury actually whispers something into Thor's ear, and it makes him unworthy of wielding.
Yeah.
It makes him unworthy. And so that's why we touched on earlier, like the mental state. So something that Nick Fury said
Yeah.
just...
Snapped him.
And then Thor goes off. He goes off. We don't see him. And so the question is, who is going to pick up the hammer? Who is going to take, the lead in this? And now you may play your clip.
Rob, may you play the.
Strange! I cannot complete this by myself. It needs your magic.
I can't cast, but you can. Take this.
The Eye of Agamotto. By the 7 sons of Silvus, by the hoary hosts of Hogoth, and by the lights of the all-seeing Eye of Agamotto!
You did it! Now we need the spark!
I'm back, and I feel like smashing! Loki, you appreciate and understand power? Join me and help me crush the Avengers.
Have you not been paying attention? I suppose it's not your fault for asking, but let me connect the dots for you in a way your simple brain can understand. I am an Avenger!
Nice job, Loki. I'll take it from here.
Thor! The Bifrost needs your lightning! Hurry!
Could have fallen in line, but you persisted in defying me. The lab mice always think they have a chance, but they're wrong. See, I make the rules, and the cold truth is, you have no chance. You never did.
Oh, there's always a chance.
Jane! Say goodbye, Dr. Foster! It's quicksand! No! Jane!
The hammer went to Jane!
Nay, Jane took the hammer. This can't be happening.
You know what they say, Beyonder. Whoever is worthy will possess the power of Thor!
You bested me. But my experiment's not done.
Yes, it is.
Curse you, Avengers! Asgard, 'tis restored.
So is Earth, and everything else.
We did it! We won! Woo! Yeah!
Yeah! Alright.
We stopped the Beyonder and saved the universe. I don't know about you, but I need a vacation.
And we could never have done it without Loki.
I am surprised as anyone at how this turned out.
Well done, Loki. But before we return home, a little housekeeping. I need you to return the Eye of Agamotto to me.
No.
You ever give it back?
That was actually kind of cool. I hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, I just found that one last night. I'm like, oh, that'll be a cool little clip.
So that
throw
was
in.
an original sin, but
No.
it introduces that, yes, for many iterations, Jane Foster becomes Thor. So I also love You pointed it out, but like when she got the hammer, she's like, "New outfit." And Thor's like, "Oh, I don't have my outfit anymore." I'm like,
Yeah, his cape gets all ratty and his
it's
shirt
basically
falls
like
apart.
Sailor
It's
Moon. It's
Stuck in
like,
a
yeah.
hammer.
That's pretty good. And
But in Original Sin, though, when she first becomes Thor, she's been diagnosed with breast cancer. She, she got married and had a son, and her husband and son unfortunately died in a car accident. She gets cancer, things like that. She goes to all the, as they always do, goes to all the magical people, all the scientist people of the Marvel Universe. No one can help her. It is what it is. And after Nick Fury whispers the secret into Thor's ear, Thor goes off, leaves the hammer. An unidentified woman takes possession of Thor's power as the new goddess of thunder. Fights. How do you say this? Malekith the Accursed.
Malekith the Accursed.
From
Thor: Dark World, the movie.
And the Absorbing Man.
Yeah, and the Absorbing Man, which is like Thor's arch nemesis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Took on someone really, that big, and
she also beats.
and that's when he becomes Odin's son. Isn't that when he becomes Odin's son for the first time?
Yeah, because he finally feels worthy, but he doesn't want to take the hammer from her because the only thing keeping her alive is the hammer. That's why it's such a crazy story. Is every minute she doesn't have the hammer is a minute she's going to die.
Yeah.
So.
But during that comic, they don't reveal it into the end. But she has
They
some
didn't even reveal who she was for a long time.
Yeah.
That was a big who is female Thor. We all knew.
Yeah.
But it was just.
And that's a clip from something new because you have Kamala in there, Miss Marvel, and then
That's from that new Disney Plus. Avengers
yeah.
run, so.
But people don't really like that she has the hammer in the comics and outside of the comics.
Yeah.
But
it was very controversial.
It was very controversial, and and I get it. I'm like, whatever. But I get it. It's not like they created a new character like when you do in the Spider-Man universe. You had Gwen Stacy. That's a character of his own. A woman didn't become actually Spider-Man. She became,
Yeah.
No.
I get it. I understand how people felt. They felt that way when it happened with Doctor Who.
Yep.
To bring that in. I'm not going to rain on anyone's parade. You have your opinion, you have your opinion.
So the new Thor movie coming out, titled Love and Thunder, is going to be about her.
She's going to be in it at some point.
Yeah.
And that also brought up controversy, which I thought was funny, too. I will say this. I will shame the people on this. Because people are like, and I get it. Oh, they're pandering. Oh, we're changing the genders, things like that. And then you had, like, the OGs that are like, she was already in the thing. Like, 2014, we already established her in the comics. This isn't pandering at this point.
No, and again,
I'm excited to see the direction.
Yeah, I'm eager. And Taika Waititi, man, that good.
It's gonna be better
awesome.
than it's gonna be better than Wonder Woman. I'm just gonna say it. Everyone's gonna hate me for it. Everyone's gonna hate me for it, but he's my favorite director.
John's not going to talk to you anymore now.
I am.
If I lose John, I guess
will back you 100% on that. Anything Taika Waititi does.
Yeah.
It's
John
amazing.
Taika did The Mandalorian, so you can't argue.
So you can't yell at us.
But anyway.
The next one I want to talk about is one of my favorite ones.
Yay!
Because it was hinted at the last movie when Thor gets on the ship. He goes,
Michael will talk now.
Oh, as Guardians of the Galaxy. And did you want to keep talking?
No, I'm saying Michael will talk now. I'm excited. Also, you still can submit your application to be the love of his life to our email address. Michael, take it away. Tell me about your favorite thing.
We had like a month of that not happening.
I snuck it in occasionally.
But
you just didn't notice.
have the new haircut, new lease on life. Gonna have a new car soon. You're doing it. Let's go. Tell me about your favorite thing.
So, as Guardians of the Galaxy, they made it as a little joke to Guardians of the Galaxy. They just want to have a little fun with it. The cast for that is actually one of my favorite characters. We've talked about her several times. We mentioned her earlier. She was co-created by Todd McFarlane.
And Neil Gaiman.
And Neil Gaiman. Yes, we'll mention Neil Gaiman.
Angela.
But yes, Angela's in it. We have Valkyrie, Thunderstrike, Kevin Matterson.
Yeah, like I said, the one who is a human who has the power of Thor.
Throg.
Puddle Gulp!
Executioner.
So that's Scourge.
And the Destroyer.
So the Destroyer armor.
Yes, which nobody knows who's in the armor at this time.
So there's no real actual Guardians of the Galaxy in this.
No.
It's just Asgardians.
Just Asgardians of the Galaxy. That's
Ooh, Mark's learning something new.
I didn't know. I haven't read that series, I'll be honest. That was a post my time for a little bit. So
it was a crossover they did with the War of the Realms storyline with the Dark Elf Malekith. So we won't even go on that storyline because that doesn't really
It's
involve
great. It's
it
basically
too
all
much.
the 9 realms are at war with each other.
Yeah,
But it's
for a
around the
time.
same time
and it
period,
bleeds
which is
into
important.
Yeah.
it bleeds into Midgard, which means where our heroes are involved.
Yeah. So spinning out the events of Infinity War comes out the epic space opera from the collaboration of Cullen Munn and Matteo Lolli.
I love having you read names. Go for it. Keep going.
I give up then.
Matteo.
No, he's doing a great
Matteo.
job. I'm
Cullen
telling you
Bunn.
to shush.
That's what it says.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
Maddie.
Matteo.
I'm like here cheerleading for you, and you're just digging your grave. No,
fine.
no,
It's fine.
keep going.
Sorry,
I like
guys.
this. I like you talking.
Come on our show. He'll learn your name. I promise.
No, I won't. I'm bad with names. I am horrible with names.
But he'll love
So
you
skip 'em.
better than
So,
anyone has
alright,
ever
we're
loved
just
you.
skipping everything. So right now, we have. Why can't I see what I'm looking for? Nebula is
Nebula?
going out to
Okay.
find an Asgardian weapon that
Mm-hmm.
even Thor's scared of, and they're on the whole thing to try and stop her the whole time.
Why do they need the weapon? Oh, okay, never
That's
mind.
part of
I
War
was,
of the
I was,
Worlds.
just, I was asking
she wants
for
to rule
context.
the world and
okay.
take over everything, destroy everything,
All right.
and be the God Almighty.
But you're right. It basically is a thing for like the Guardians of the Galaxy because they're after the stones and clever.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
And Angela is the sister of Thor,
Mm-hmm.
which is
which
half
it worked.
sister.
Neil
yeah.
Gaiman worked that in when he worked her into the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. The artwork's great. I love it. Again, Angela's in it. That's why I really like
which
it.
is awesome. So can't go wrong with that. Angela's pretty awesome. So, and and as a Guardian now. So they made her.
So they're chasing. What happens after that? Tell me the story. I've never heard of this either. I'm actually really interested. I love Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'll have to give you the comics so you can find out. I don't want to spoil it.
You gotta spoil it. Spoiler alert! Spoiler. All right, I warned.
We don't
some
have much
people.
time left, and we still got some more stuff to talk about.
All right.
Fine.
Yeah, let's go on. So of course, we're going to talk about the some of his villains. The most famous we've talked about Loki, of course, his brother, kind of villain, kind of not villain. Sometimes depending
Different
on the story.
origins,
Depending what he
things like
wants to
that.
The Wrecking Crew, my favorite villains. These are guys who are construction workers who find a bit of Uru metal, and it's a crowbar, and it gives them the power of Thor. And so they're not worthy. They find bits of the material so it gives them that kind of level power, and they share it. So that's why they're not super powerful. The more of them around, like there's Pile Driver and Bulldozer, and so they all, one has a wrecking ball made of the Thor's hammer material. One has the crowbar, and it's kind of cool. So if they ever lose their powers, the more they get knocked out, one of them gets stronger. And until finally there's one that's like super powerful. So it's a neat villain concept. Of course, we talked about Absorbing Man. He's powerful because if he touches something, he becomes it. So that's how he touches Thor's hammer. He is solid, Thor's hammer, and you can't kill him. So that's why he's such a tough villain to fight.
And then we have Hades.
And then we have Scourge, who was the executioner, but he was the play toy of Hela, or the even other one that everybody talks about, the Enchantress.
Yeah.
Now, the Enchantress and Thor were lovers at one point.
Yes, and there's actually a photo that's going to pop up. With that one.
And so when the original
there we
Secret
go.
Wars happened, there's a bit where the Enchantress kidnaps Thor for a little bit to try to say, look, we can just go home. We don't have to stay here. There's Scourge with his machine guns. And then he's got his friends. He's got Sif, and he's got the
Yeah.
Warriors 3.
Oh yeah, and that's from the movie.
Yeah, from the movie Scourge there. And so, he's got a beautiful multiverse, and some of it is right from mythology, and then some of it is pure Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and some of the other writers.
So I got another little trailer I want to play.
You got a trailer.
A little trailer from...
Oh, is it one of the movies?
Yes, so let's go ahead and do the Hulk vs. Thor movie trailer.
Oh, yeah.
One of the good movies that they did. Animated.
Animated style.
This is no immortal evil that we face now. The Hulk has come to Asgard.
It is rage incarnate!
For Odin!
it for Asgard!
Coming to
2009.
DVD.
Yeah.
I know I saw it. It was great. I remember that.
Because
So why
they
did we
did
mention
Tupac,
that
They
one?
also did the Wolverine movie.
Wolverine versus Hulk.
So why did we bring that up? Tell us about that one.
Because it's Thor.
Because it's Thor, and it's actually a very good animated film. I like that. Hulk is under the control of Hela, I think,
Yeah.
and so that's why he's destroying Asgard, and it's bringing about Ragnarok, which is very cool.
The next short trailer I want to play is from one of my favorite TV shows as a kid, The Incredible Hulk. They did a couple live-action movies.
Oh yeah.
And let's talk
So is this Lou Ferrigno goodness?
It's going to be the trial of the Incredible
Oh,
Hulk in
with
1989.
Daredevil.
Yes.
David Banner wanted to end the running. He wanted to live in peace. You have to stop someplace. But once again, they made him angry. Maybe angry enough to kill. Maybe I belong in a cage. Now, imprisoned, he will struggle to hide the fury within him. But he will not succeed. I can't stand trial. You have no choice. Because now David Banner faces his greatest trial. The trial of the Incredible Hulk.
Why they didn't show him in the
And
trailer,
throw
but
Thor in the
Thor's
trailer. Yeah, Thor's in that movie. So's Daredevil.
Yes.
And
the first
Stan Lee
appearance,
cameo.
Stan Lee cameo
Yeah,
ever.
first official. I guess he'd been doing it in the cartoons.
We should do an episode where it just goes over every single cameo he's done.
We could do it. Yeah,
We can just be like, cameo, it's this.
Yeah. And what's
be a long one.
Yeah, so there's some good bits in that. There's Thor is this beach bum type guy.
You have to say, what does Thor do?
Oh, he runs around and drinks kegs, and he keeps telling him, "Bring the green troll, bring the green troll." It's like that's the dumbest line ever. Yeah, but no CGI there. That's all Lou Ferrigno, baby.
Yes.
Lou Ferrigno just being badass.
He's still a big guy, too.
And he did the voice of Thor or Hulk for the first movie.
Yeah.
For Avengers, but then they decided to go with
Last 49 seconds.
Yeah.
What's your
Last
favorite
49
What's your favorite thing of Thor? Go.
favorite thing of Thor, Frog Thor, Puddle Gulp,
Favorite thing of Thor? Go.
Bro Thor. Because he's
Lebowski Thor.
Lebowski Thor, yeah.
Ragnarok, the movie.
Yep.
Unpopular
Flash Gordon 2.
opinion. Unpopular opinion.
It's Flash Gordon 2.
It was a great
That's
movie.
what it
It was a
was.
great
And I
movie.
love every minute of it. So.
Well, a lot of and I get it, older comic people were like, it's not supposed to be funny. It's like, that's why they hired me. It's all I do, bro. It's all I do.
I loved it, and we loved it, and we hope you all had fun tonight. Vote for us at Creative Loafing.
Yes.
Message us at Comic Book 101. You do your thing. Come on, man. I'm
Message
doing all
us
the
at
things.
home at comicbook101tv.com, info comicbook101tv.com, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Submitting your application to be-
comicbook101tv.com. Don't submit applications.
Submit applications. We
Find
need them
Mark
so
on
bad.
Erie, Florida.
And we'll see you on the other
next week.
side.